The view from the ballroom stretched over the water, all glass and gold. I stood near the back, holding a half-empty champagne glass, watching my sister glide through her perfect night. Chloe's wedding looked like it had been engineered for social media white orchids, soft jazz, and a guest list that hummed with money. She'd planned every detail for over a year, and it showed. Mom waved from the front table, beaming, the picture of a mother who'd done everything right. Dad stood beside her, straight-backed and proud. "She's really made it," he said to the man next to him. "Law degree, firm partner track, great husband, the full package." The words drifted all the way back to where I stood. At table 9, the one closest to the kitchen, someone's phone kept buzzing. The servers swung through with trays of lobster risotto and lemon tart, and each time the doors opened, a slice of cold air hit my back. It felt almost deliberate, like the room itself was reminding me where I belonged. Across the room, Chloe looked radiant. Her new husband, Evan, leaned in to whisper something, and she laughed, tilting her head just the way Mom always did when the camera found her. One of my cousins, I couldn't remember her name, turned to me. "So, Nora, what are you doing these days?" I smiled. "Still in tech." "Ah," she said. "My husband's nephew tried that too. Coding apps or something. Didn't really work out." I nodded. "It usually doesn't." She patted my arm like she was consoling me. "You'll find your thing." The band shifted to a softer song. Dad raised his glass at the front. "To Chloe and Evan," he said, voice steady, proud, "to hard work, ambition, and real success." Everyone clapped. Mom wiped a tear, saying, "She's always been focused, never distracted by nonsense." Their eyes brushed past me, not cruelly, just habitually, as if my existence was an afterthought. I set down the glass. The bubbles had gone flat. Chloe took the mic, glowing under the lights. "Tonight is about family," she said, "and how we become who we are because of the people who shape us." The room leaned in. I already knew the next line, the one that always came after that smile, and I braced myself. Chloe's voice rang through the ballroom, bright and clear. She was born for microphones. "I want to thank everyone who made this day possible," she said, smiling at the crowd. "Mom, Dad, you've always believed in me. You taught me the value of hard work, real work, and I'm grateful." She paused, her eyes glancing in my direction just long enough for the message to land. "And to those who took more creative paths," she added with a playful smirk. "I guess we all find success in our own way." Laughter rippled across the tables. Even Dad chuckled, shaking his head with mock fondness. Mom leaned toward him, whispering loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "That's our Chloe, clever as always." I forced a smile, my throat dry. The waiter poured me more champagne. I didn't stop him. Chloe continued. "When I told Mom I wanted to go to law school, she said, 'Good, something solid. Not another one of those startup experiments.'" The guests laughed again, clinking glasses. I kept my eyes on the bubbles rising in my drink. It reminded me of the first all-nighter I'd pulled 6 years ago. Debugging code in my tiny Austin apartment. Back then, I could hear the air conditioner rattling, smell burnt coffee, and feel the hum of something real being built, something no one else believed in. At the front, Dad stood to add his part. We couldn't be prouder. Chloe's always had discipline, focus. She never chases shortcuts, just puts her head down and earns it. He raised his glass toward her, his back conveniently turned to me. "To steady paths and true success," he said. Everyone lifted their glasses. The sound of crystal meeting crystal filled the room. "Here's to building something lasting," Evan added beside Chloe. "Not those get-rich-quick things everyone's doing now." Chloe giggled. "You said it, babe." The laughter was softer this time, but still there a steady hum that pressed against my skin. I caught Dad's eye for half a second. He gave me a small nod. polite, approving in that distant fatherly way, as if he were acknowledging I'd managed to behave. I returned the nod, calm, measured. Inside, I was counting lines of code, every one of them written while they thought I was failing. Dad stayed standing after the applause faded. His voice carried across the ballroom the same firm, controlled tone he used whenever he wanted to make a lesson out of a moment. "I couldn't be prouder of this family," he said. "Chloe's done everything right, studied hard, built a respectable career, found a partner who shares her values. That's what success looks like." He turned slightly toward me, but never met my eyes. "Your mother and I always said the same thing to both our daughters. Security comes from structure, from stable choices, from doing things the proper way." Mom smiled, glowing beside him. "We're grateful our children listened well, most of the time." The crowd chuckled. The sound felt rehearsed, like background music. Dad raised his glass again. To discipline, to focus, and to real achievements the kind that last. "Here, here," Evan said, and they all drank. I didn't. At table 9, my phone buzzed softly against the linen. A quick glance, a message from Alex, my CFO. "Feature confirmed. TechCrunch goes live tonight. Congrats." "Nora." Another buzz followed. "Forbes rep spotted at the venue. Arya Patel. Thought you'd want to know." I set the phone face down. My pulse stayed steady, but my throat tightened. Mom's laughter rose again, the kind that sounded practiced. "It's a blessing," she said to the woman beside her. "Both girls doing something productive. Chloe's making partner soon, and Nora, well, she's still figuring things out." The woman nodded politely, eyes soft with sympathy. Dad sat back down, satisfied. "The world needs stability," he said to no one in particular. "Dreams are fine until the rent's due." Chloe giggled. "Dad, stop," she said, but she was smiling too. I lifted my glass, letting the light catch it. "To stability," I murmured under my breath. Then I took a slow sip. Outside, through the glass wall, the ocean waves kept rolling quiet, relentless, and unbothered by speeches. I slipped out before dessert. The hall outside was cooler, quiet except for the ocean wind pressing against the glass. My heels clicked once on the tile before I took them off and carried them. For the first time that night, I could breathe. From the ballroom, laughter spilled out Chloe's, bright and sharp. Someone had just made another joke about creative careers. It was almost impressive how consistent they were. I leaned against the railing and checked my phone again. Alex TechCrunch confirmed. 6.2 billion valuation final. 20 minutes until release. 20 minutes. A door opened behind me. "I thought I'd find you here," a voice said. It was Arya Patel, her hair pinned back, the glow from the ballroom lights catching her earrings. She looked out toward the water beside me. "Beautiful night," she said. I nodded. "For some of us." She glanced over. "Still no one knows? Not a clue." "Your parents?" I laughed quietly. "They think Helix is just a side project. Something to keep me busy until I grow up." Arya's smile was small but knowing. "You're calmer than I expected. I've been waiting 6 years for them to hear me. Another 20 minutes won't hurt." She studied me. "You sure you want it to happen here? Like this, it's not my timing." I said, "It's theirs." We stood in silence for a moment, watching the lights shimmer across the water. Inside, a new song started, something slow and old-fashioned. Arya's gaze flicked toward the ballroom. "They're about to cut the cake." "Fitting," I said. A little sweetness before the crash. She raised an eyebrow. "You're not enjoying this at all, are you?" "I'm not angry," I said. "Just done explaining." Arya nodded. "Then maybe this is the perfect time." She checked her watch. 17 minutes. I took a slow breath. Let it come. As she walked back toward the doors, I stayed by the railing. The wind lifted my hair, carrying the faint echo of applause from inside. Somewhere, a wave broke hard against the rocks, the kind that starts small but never fades once it hits. When I returned to the ballroom, Chloe was already on the microphone again. "Before we dance," she said, glowing in that perfect golden light, "I just want to say one last thing about what this day means." Her hand brushed against Evan's arm, polished and sure. "It's about building a future, something real, something lasting, not a gamble or a hobby, but a foundation." There it was, the final dig wrapped in silk. Polite laughter rolled through the room like a cue in a play. I took my seat at table 9, next to a half-empty plate of untouched cake. My phone buzzed once, then again, then again. "Alex, it's live. Aria. Every outlet's sharing it. It's everywhere. Across the ballroom." I heard the faint chorus of devices buzzing, like a hive waking up. A few guests began glancing down at screens. The laughter faltered, curiosity spreading. A woman at the next table frowned and whispered to her husband. He turned his phone toward her. Their heads bent closer. Then both looked up at me. Another murmur followed. Then another. Evan's father, a man who never missed a headline about money, was the first to react. He froze, eyes fixed on his phone. Then he looked straight at Dad, tapped the screen, and whispered something. Dad's brow furrowed. He took the phone. His color drained. Mom leaned over. "What is it?" He didn't answer, just passed her the screen. Her lips parted. Oh my God. The hum in the room grew, low and strange. People shifted in their seats, glancing between their phones and me. The light felt colder suddenly, sharper. Chloe stopped mid-sentence. "What's going on?" she asked. Her laugh nervous now. I didn't move. Aria appeared by the side door, calm, composed. She approached the front table and spoke clearly. "Apologies for the interruption. I'm Aria Patel with TechCrunch. We just published our annual feature Nora Grant, founder and CEO of Helix Interactive, named the youngest self-made billionaire in gaming technology." A wave passed through the room, not noise, but silence so loud it buzzed. Chloe blinked. "Wait, what?" Aria continued, professional and unflinching. Helix Interactive employs 900 people across 4 countries and operates the global platform Novaverse, averaging over 100 million daily users. The company's valuation just passed $6.2 billion. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad just stared. Chloe looked at me, pale. "You're joking." I met her eyes. "No," Evan stammered. "But you make games. I build systems." I said games were just where it started. The room stayed still except for the faint clicks of guests refreshing their phones. "Verifying the truth," Mom whispered. "You told us it was small." I said it was mine. I replied. Chloe's grip tightened on the mic. "You knew this would happen tonight." I didn't control the timing, I said, but I guess timing has a way of correcting itself. The guests had stopped whispering. They were just watching. Dad stood halfway, his voice barely holding. "You built all this," and said nothing. I looked at him. I said everything. "You just called it nonsense." No one laughed now, only the faint sound of applause in another ballroom down the hall for someone else's speech. In someone else's story. Dad's chair scraped back. "You let us toast to real work while you hid this." I did not hide. I said. I stopped repeating myself. Mom's napkin trembled in her hand. "Nora, we would have celebrated you. You celebrated an idea of me," I said, the quiet one who would eventually choose something proper. Chloe held the microphone like a lifeline. "You could have told me. You watched me write that speech. I heard it." I said. It sounded like every dinner for 6 years. Evan tried to smooth the air. "This is a wedding. We can find a better time." Aria stood a respectful distance, her phone away, eyes steady. Dad pointed at me. Explain it in plain English. Helix Interactive, I said. Headquarters in Austin, teams in Vancouver, Seoul, and Berlin. Around 900 employees. Our platform, Novaverse, averages 120 million daily users. We raised capital that valued Helix at $6.2 billion. A hush rippled through the tables. Someone whispered that number to someone else as if saying it made it real. Mom blinked hard. You said it was a small studio. I said it was mine. I answered. You heard small because small felt safe. Chloe stared. You still code in hoodies. You work from a couch. I work from wherever the work gets done. I said, comfort is a tool, not a sin. Evan's father leaned forward. Offers several. I said, we passed. We are not flipping a condo. We are building a city. Dad shook his head. You repaid your tuition to make a point. I repaid it because at 19, you called my work a toy. I said, I wanted no leash on it. A cousin murmured. She keynoted that developer conference last fall. The whisper spread like a current. Mom's voice thinned. We worried you were alone. I was busy. I said, alone was a story you told about me to make worry feel noble. Chloe took a step closer. This is my wedding. This room is supposed to be mine. It still can be. I said, the article does not remove your vows. Evan stiffened. You made us look foolish. I did not write your jokes. I said, you chose them because they had always been free. Dad's jaw locked. You think we are small. I think you are careful. I said. Careful turned into blind. Arya spoke softly. Her keynote said, respect is not agreement. Respect is curiosity. That is what we printed. Dad glanced at her like she had translated a language he refused to learn. You told a reporter before your mother. I told the first person who asked and waited. I said. Mom pressed her lips together. We did not listen. You listened for the answer you wanted. I said. When it did not match, you called it noise. Chloe's grip tightened on the mic. You could have warned me today. I gave you beta keys 2 years ago. I said. You said you do not play games. Her eyes flinched. She remembered. Evan tried again. Apologize for the timing. No, I said. The word landed clean. People at nearby tables forgot to breathe. Dad exhaled through his nose. So this is who you are now. This is who I have been. I said. Mom reached for my arm, then let her hand fall. Can we start over? We can start with questions. I said. Not speeches. Chloe swallowed. What do you want from us? Less certainty. I said. More listening. Evan's father lifted his glass half an inch. To listening, he said. Uncertain, as if testing the shape of it. No one drank. A flower girl tugged at my dress hem and peered up. Do you really make worlds? I crouched, with a lot of people. Every day. She smiled, satisfied. That is real, she said, and skipped back to her table. Chloe watched her go. You built something I cannot see unless a screen tells me. You built something that hangs on walls. I said. I built something that lives in hands. Both can last. Dad sank slowly into his chair, the fight leaving his shoulders. What happens now? Now you decide if you want to know me, I said. Not the version that fits your creed. Mom nodded once, as if taking a vow. I want to try. Chloe's eyes shone with a mix of anger and shame. I need a moment. Take it, I said. I set my glass down. The room stayed silent, as if afraid to break anything else. Arya stepped aside to let me pass. I walked toward the doors, heels soft against the floor, the sound of the ocean faint through the glass. I did not look back. The hallway outside the ballroom smelled faintly of champagne and fading flowers. Behind the doors, the music had shifted to something slower, quieter, like the band was trying to patch over the silence I had left behind. I leaned against the wall, shoes dangling from my fingers, pulse finally catching up to me. Arya appeared a minute later, calm as ever. "You handled that better than most." "I didn't handle it," I said. "I just stopped pretending it was normal." She gave a small nod. "They'll need time. So will I." Before she could answer, the door opened again. Dad stepped out first, his expression tight, jaw set like he was holding back too many sentences. Mom followed, her hand clutching his sleeve. "Nora," Dad said, his voice lower than before. "We need to talk." I didn't move. "Now." "Yes, now." He came closer. "You made us look like strangers in front of everyone." "You were strangers," I said. "You never asked what I was doing. You just filled in your own answers." Mom's eyes were glossy. "We were worried, that's all. You shut us out. I sent updates." I said, "You called them distractions." Dad sighed, rubbing his temple. "You could have told us the truth." "I tried," I said. "You hung up after telling me to get serious." For a long moment, no one spoke. The muffled laughter from inside floated through the doors, someone trying too hard to keep the party alive. Mom whispered, "We didn't know you felt this way." "You didn't want to know," I said. "There's a difference." The doors opened again. Chloe stepped out, still in her gown, makeup cracked along the edges of her eyes. "Can we not do this here?" she said, voice shaking. "I can't not tonight." Dad turned to her. "Sweetheart." "No," she snapped. "Don't sweetheart me right now. You all turned my wedding into a press conference." Her gaze found mine. "You could have warned me. I gave you every chance." I said. "You just didn't listen." Her laugh broke halfway through. "God, you sound just like them." "Maybe because they taught me silence, too." Arya shifted quietly to one side. Respectful, but watching everything. Mom reached out again. "Please, both of you." Chloe's shoulders shook. "Do you know what people will remember from today? Not the vows, not the music, just you. My sister, the billionaire." I met her eyes. Then maybe they'll remember the wrong girl finally got heard. She took a shaky breath, turned away, and pushed through the doors, her veil catching for a second before tearing free. Dad stared at me, exhausted. "You've proven your point." "It wasn't about proving anything," I said. "It was about ending the pretending." Mom's voice was small. "So what happens now?" "Nothing," I said. "I'll go home. You'll read the article again. Maybe you'll see something you missed the first time." Arya gave me a look that wasn't pity, just understanding. "Do you want me to walk you out?" I shook my head. I've walked alone before. I slipped past them, heading toward the exit. The hallway stretched long and empty, every step echoing a little too loud. Behind me, the door closed. Inside, the band started another song, softer this time, but still trying. 3 mornings later, I sat by the window of my Austin apartment, coffee untouched, laptop open to a flood of unread messages, investors, reporters, invitations all noise. The only thing that mattered hadn't come yet. Then my phone rang. "Mom." I let it ring twice before answering. Her voice was quiet, trembling. "We watched the interview. CNBC replayed it this morning. You spoke so calmly." "I've had practice," I said. She hesitated. "Your father's here too." A pause. Then Dad's voice rough, unfamiliar. "You made us proud. Nora, I just wish we hadn't had to read about it with everyone else." I swallowed. "You wouldn't have believed it any other way." He sighed. "Maybe not. We were stubborn. We thought we were protecting you. You were protecting your version of me." I said. Silence stretched across the line, long enough that I almost thought they'd hung up. Then Mom spoke again. Softer now. You were right, we never listened. You said you were building something, and we laughed. We thought you'd grow out of it. I did, I said quietly. I grew out of needing you to approve it. I heard her choke back a sob. Please don't say that. We want to make it right. Then start by asking, I said, about what she asked, voice shaking. What I actually do, I said. Dad cleared his throat. Fine. What do you do? Nora. I leaned back, the question hitting harder than I expected. I build worlds, I said, for people who need to escape theirs for a while, and I make sure the people helping me build them get to live better lives too. Mom was quiet again. Then she whispered, That sounds beautiful. It's work, I said. Real work. Dad's voice softened. We see that now. Come home for dinner. No speeches, just us. I closed my eyes. If I come, you have to see me as I am, not the version you hoped for. Mom's reply came without hesitation. We'll try. I nodded to myself. Then I'll come. Outside, Austin's skyline blinked in the afternoon light. Calm, steady, almost forgiving. That night, the city outside my window glowed like cold, soft pulses of light across glass towers. I had almost finished answering work messages when another notification appeared. Chloe. Her first text was only 3 words. I'm still angry. I stared at it for a moment before replying. So am I. A minute passed, then another message. But I keep thinking about what you said. About listening. It's harder than it sounds. I wrote back. I was jealous. She typed, You made your own world. I built one that needs everyone else's approval. I let the phone rest in my palm. You earned your life. Chloe, you just built it their way, and you built yours without them. She said, I don't know which is lonelier. That one sat on the screen for a while. Then I typed, Maybe we don't have to choose anymore. There was a pause. Then Mom and Dad said you're coming tomorrow. Dinner, not an intervention. I replied. She sent a small laughing emoji, followed by, Do you ever miss how simple it used to be? It was never simple. I answered. We just pretended it was. The typing dots blinked again, then stopped. Finally, she sent, I'm sorry for that toast. I know, I wrote. You didn't mean it to hurt. You just wanted to be seen too. Will you still come tomorrow? I will. Good, she replied. Then maybe we can start again. I set the phone down beside the window. The skyline reflected faintly in the glass, Austin alive and awake. The headquarters of Helix glowing 2 blocks away. The top floor lights blinked in the sequence we had coded years ago. 1 long, 1 short, 2 steady. Alex once said it looked like a heartbeat. I watched it flash against the dark and whispered, Still running. The phone buzzed again. Chloe had sent 1 more message. Bring dessert tomorrow. Mom still can't cook it right. I smiled, typing back. On it. Then I closed the laptop, turned off the lights, and let the silence feel like peace instead of distance.